Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 9x9 Volleyball Show, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage west of the Atlantic Ocean. My name is Rob St. Clair. That is the legend himself, Everett Rob. We got a lot of volleyball that happened. Oh, yeah, you heard me. We got a lot of volleyball that happened this weekend, literally all over the world, and just a good amount of stuff going on. So thanks very much for watching. Let us know in the live YouTube chat where you're watching from. We're looking at the chat. We're answering your questions throughout the show. So we're looking forward to some obviously clearly very serious and intense and not at all joking or laughable discussion. So hit us up in there and let's jump right into it.
No jokes allowed. No jokes allowed.
No, this is an extremely serious show.
Very, very serious. As serious as the upsets that we had in the Italian Cup this weekend on the men's side. Because I woke up with a pretty severe hangover on Sunday morning. I lounged in bed for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the Italian Cup is on. Let's watch it. This should be great." Tune in, and I no. First of all, you go to the Discord first. Because it takes a little bit of while for Volleyball World TV to boot up and stuff. Go to Discord first, and I see that both Milan and Piacenza have already are already up 1-0, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. Both Lube and Modena are now out of the Italian Cup, so I'm still trying to process what happened this past weekend.
Yeah, that was an incredibly surprising result. Like, I was commentating VLA on Sunday, and I just happened to check the Discord while I was out for lunch at before the last match, and I just saw that people were blowing up, and I turned it on Volleyball World TV as fast as I could to see the last 3 or 4 points of Milano beating Ljubljana. Like, what did I miss? I've caught up on the stat sheets and the highlights of the matches since, but what happened here? Let's start with the Milano Lube match, because I'm looking at the numbers and I just I don't really get it. The passing numbers are fine for Lube, 62% positive. That's good. Hitting 50% kills. That's fine. 7 blocks, 2 aces to 15 errors is less than good. But I mean, what happened?
Honestly, to me, it seemed like all of the bounces were just going Milano's way. Milano, and I even put this in the Discord at one point. Milano was feeling themselves. Nothing could go. It seemed like nothing could go wrong. Whereas Lube was making lackadaisical errors in clutch moments. Like we saw, at the end of the 4th set, Yant make 2 terrible passes. One of them was a complete practice, just full-on shank that it should have been an easy 3, and he just shanked to the other side of the net out of bounds. We saw DeCecco letting balls through his leg on legs go through on defense. And I mean, hey, Patry isn't the strongest hitter out there. He's not hitting bullets, so you should be able to dig him if it's going literally right at you. So like you said, the stats didn't dictate why the Milano should have won, but they were just so clean and so good. It was just one of those games where everything comes together perfectly for them, and you could see exactly kind of what they could be as a team. But for me, one of the big reasons is you have to go 17 for 22 down the middle between
that's massive.
But between Cheneyeze and Matteo Piano. And I really think that Lube just really couldn't put the pressure on it. We saw 15 errors to only 2 aces. So they weren't really putting the pressure on. They were just able to pass well, run their middles, and they just opened up everything for all of the hitters on the outside, especially Thomas Jayski. I know Patry won the MVP on the afternoon, but Jayski was on fire. It's one of the best games I've seen him play in a while.
Yeah, so to hit that point about the middles, just looking at Lube's middles, they didn't have Simone Anzani, which, I mean, is a miss, but he's, I would argue, the least important of their 7 starters. He's definitely replaceable. So they had Enrico Diamantini, who was okay. Robert Landy Simone, 9 for 16 with an error, 50% efficiency is good, but it's not like Robert Landy Simone numbers. I do not expect him to get dug 6 times. That's kind of weird. But yeah, the Milano Mills, man, Matteo Piano, Bartolomeo Chinese, wow. 17 for 22 combined is unbelievable. That's what I expect Lube to be able to do out of the middle. And then, yeah, Thomas Jeschke has taken this Milano team and kind of put them on his back in not a role that I was expecting him to have at all. I thought he was going to be 12 to 14 attempts per match kind of guy. Led the entire match in attempts. Well, no,
really?
2 behind even
That
Zaitsev.
little?
30. Yeah, I didn't expect him to be like an offensive workhorse. That's Jean Patry's job. Like I expected him to barely outscore Yuki Ishikawa match to match. And like 34 attempts for Jeschke, like leading his team. Patry only had 23 and 16 for 34 with only 4 errors is an unbelievable output for an outside hitter. And I including the game and the match winning kill out of the back row, somehow like out of system, finding that one, some little miracle there. Yeah, kind of an example of all the breaks going Milano's way, like you were saying. But if you're an American fan and you watch this, that is incredibly promising that Thomas Jeschke can be a leading scorer type of a player on a team that beats Lubeci Villanoba in a Coppa Italia match. I did not
Honestly,
the last time I saw Thomas Jeschke have anywhere close to that kind of a role was his junior year at Loyola when they won a national championship. He left a year early to go play pro, and then he ended up on the Olympic team. But ever since he's been playing for Team USA, he's been very much an L2. He has not been a score-first type of player, especially since the 2 serious injuries he's had in the last 4 or 5 years. And this is unbelievably promising. If you're an American fan like me and you're worried about our outside hitter position, that is an awesome, awesome stat line from Thomas Jeschke.
For me, he was really like one of the emotional leaders as well for Milano. And I think when you look at that team, you got a lot of quiet guys. Like Patry is a quiet guy. Matteo Piano, quiet guy. Cheniniese, quiet guy. Ishikawa, if you can even speak the language that they're speaking around him, quiet guy, right? Whereas Jeschke has that ability to kind of bring all the guys. It's that North American type of spirit on the court.
Yeah.
You know, it's the pick them up by your bootstraps. Let's never stop working. Let's go hard. Let's, you know, be a brotherhood that we see, you know, quite quintessentially in American sports. But yeah, it was a very impressive outing from him and the entire Milano squad. I think it's a fluke though. I don't know if we're ever going to see this Milano ever again. I think it was just one of those things that, you know, Lube was maybe a little bit more tired. They had just gone to Zaxa. They had played Champions League earlier that week. But yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised to see this Milano squad out there because it wasn't a situation that Lube played terribly and Milano just took advantage of it. They were just rolling. You know, if that was the Milano that we'd see all the time, then like, hey, let's put them in there for like a chance at the Scudetto. But I don't see it being able to be sustainable long term for this team.
Yeah, that I would be shocked if it was. I wish I could have watched the whole match by now, but I have to assume that in order for Milano to play this well, Paolo Porro had to have had an awesome day.
So that was actually one of my things that I was going to say. Yeah. Paolo Porro was not looking like the young setter that we saw come in from Modena last year, where the jersey was way too big and he looked like someone's little brother. You know, just to fill in the roster. He was running the offense. He was directing guys. Hell, the first two points of the fourth set were him. First with a sick 2-ball where he turned and burned on 2, and the other one was a big block. Like he's running that offense and really coming to his own. And you know, maybe it's a little bit early for this, but like, when are we going to start considering him in like the depth chart? Like, where does he fit within the depth chart of the Italian setters?
A distant third. That's not a conversation worth having. Both Gianelli and Spertoli are well under 30 years of age.
It's not even close. But if either of those guys goes down, like I think he's a great backup for either of those guys. But yeah, Paolo Porro, I would honestly probably say one of his best matches of the year, maybe of his entire Superliga career.
Well, it probably was, just based on the numbers. Like his team's attacking numbers were good, and they beat this caliber of an opponent. And like, it's hard to really pull conclusions from a setter off the stat sheet. But if he can continue to play like that I think is the missing piece for Milano. And while I doubt they will be beating Lubeci Villanoba again anytime soon, them playing significantly better than the 7th or 8th place they have this season, that might not be a fluke. If Porro continues to improve, the rest of the pieces are there. So that I could see being a sign for significant optimism if you're a Milano fan, if you see your young setter starting to play like that.
And like, maybe with this win, Milano maybe moves up rank, and they're up there with the Piacenzas and Monzas of the Superliga, you know, in that kind of tier two of Superliga teams.
Agreed. And we kind of thought they were going to be there when, like, during this offseason, they had a very good offseason, and the only real question was how is Porro going to play? So if it continues to look like that, then maybe they are in the Piacenza conversation, which leads us right into the next match that happened this weekend.
Well, before we do that, I do want to bring up one point. first off was how bad Lube's outsides were, but how good Ivan Zaitsev was.
Yeah,
Ivan
Zaitsev
Zaitsev, 21 kills on 36 attempts, only 2 errors, 1 block, 23 points. I mean, the next highest score was Lucarelli, and Lucarelli went 12 for 30 and had about a 10% efficiency. So it was a fantastic outing for Ivan Zaitsev, and I think that and maybe that's one of those growing pains where things are starting to change up and their style of play is changing a little bit with the introduction of Zaitsev back into the lineup. But he's been an absolute monster for them for the past couple of games. And I mean, I think he had about 8 kills in the fourth set, and he was really the only Lube player that had anything good going worthwhile to watch.
Dude, 21 for 36 with only 3 errors is an unbelievable output. That's 50% efficiency at the opposite when the rest of your team doesn't really have it that day. That is awesome. So yeah, you get Marlon Yant on kind of a bad day. You get Lucarelli on kind of a bad day. Juan Torrena doesn't suit up. You don't have Anzani, and still that's a big bright spot for Lube just to have that. A lot of confidence from Zaitsev to be pulled out of this one. That is a very good sign. And it's unlikely that they'll have the rest of those pieces just all dysfunctional in the same match throughout the rest of the season, but that is definitely worth talking about.
I really think this was the match that they missed Juan Torrena the most. Not only his physical capabilities, but his leadership capabilities, his ability to get fired up and bring that team together. I think maybe you've got a couple of guys on that team who are a little bit quieter. DeCecco is very much, I wouldn't even call DeCecco a leader. He's a very skilled player, but might have some of the worst leadership qualities that we've seen from a setter in a long time.
Wow.
I mean, hey, the same thing happened with him. As I said, like balls go, like he's getting 5-hold on attacks in the fourth set. Like, make an attempt, get an arm on it. There's no way you should there's no way you should be on the FIVB top 12 team, which we'll talk about in a second, and you should be letting balls like that go through your legs, like getting like 5-hold or nutmeg, whichever sports reference you want. It was bad to watch, right? Whereas Juan Torrena has that ability to be, he's soft-spoken, but at the same time passionate, and he's well-respected amongst everyone. And I think that right now you've got a lot of superstars, and they're just missing that one at the top to really lead things. And I think that's Juan Torrena.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Last week I said on the show after Lube beat Zaxa, like if Marlon Yant and Lucarelli are both healthy and Yant plays like that, they don't need Juan Torrena to rush back from injury. Conversely, when you don't have those other two guys playing well at all, and you need just the presence, like exactly what Everett just talked about, the leadership, the kind, like, guys, follow me here, let me show you the way. You kind of do need him, and he didn't even he's not even on the stat sheet, so I assume he obviously didn't even see the floor, but I don't know if he even dressed that. I expected him to be at least a factor for Lube by this point in the season. The fact that he's not is a little bit concerning, so that's worth following along the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I think Lube is going to be able to bounce back from this. And as I said, I don't think this is. I think this has an impact on Milano's season in terms of this is their first time that they've ever been into the Final Four of the Italian Cup. So good job for them. Last year was the first time that they ever won a CEV championship, winning the Challenge Cup. So Milano starting to knock off some milestones here in volleyball, but in general, they're not going to be challenging for the Scudetto.
Well,
whereas. No. The other game that was, and the worst thing that happened was that both of these games were going on simultaneously.
That is the worst.
So it's so hard to be able to try to watch these two matches and have some VLA on the TV. So I'm sorry, VLA, you guys got the cut on this time, but it was difficult to try to watch these two games because it was mirror actions on either side where they both, like, the good team lost the first set, they came back to win the second, had a poor performance in the third, and then just couldn't complete the comeback in the fourth.
Yeah, it really was a mirror of the same match. And like Piacenza, this is a massive, massive win for them. I'm looking through Modena's numbers, and again, just nothing jumps out to me as being that bad. Their offensive efficiency was fine. 8 blocks, 4 aces, 24 service errors in 4 sets is a big number. 6 errors per set. That's 6 literally free points per set for Piacenza. That is a big number. But I mean, Daddy Stankovic, sterling performance as usual. Daniele Mazzone, hot garbage, 0% efficiency. That's not great. But I mean, Leal, Nimir, Ingapet, all just kind of mediocre, a little bit above average. Lagumja was terrible. Like, how did Piacenza win this match?
Do you know who I give the MVPs of this game to? And I don't even know who it actually went. It's two players who traditionally I don't like. First
One's got to be Tonchek Stern, 10 for 12.
We'll get there. No, the first one is Francesco Ricci. I thought Ricci had a fantastic match. Like we're seeing here, 10 kills, 10 for 21, not great numbers, but the way he was getting those kills, he was going at their blocks, he was challenging the block, he was being aggressive. 3 blocks and an ace. Ricci was lights out, passed really well for him too. And of course, the other one was Tonchek Stern. What are the stats here? 10 for 12. 83%, and he came off the bench. He didn't start until that fourth set. He came off the bench in sets 2 and 3, and I mean we've seen Stern put up these kind of numbers. Like he was one of the top scorers. Stern. Yeah, this is. But he was one of the top scorers in the league last year for Padova. But that was on a team where he was the only offensive option, right. And it was a basement dwelling team. Right, this time he came in, and Thibaut Hassal had a pretty good game with 13 points. Ricci had a pretty good game with 14 points. But man, Tonchek Stern, I wish that we were able to see the stats per set per player like you can in the CEV on the Superliga, because I'm pretty sure he had like 8 kills. Like he was something like 8 for 8 in the fourth set. It was absolutely gangbusters to watch, and it was exciting. Like once again, like Modena just couldn't handle the heat from Piacenza, and Piacenza just turned it on. But that's 2 bad losses for Modena in 1 week.
It is.
That's 2 terrible losses for Modena in 1 week. So I mean, they got to play that next CEV Cup match tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes.
And we'll get to that in just a second. But I wanna talk about Piacenza here, because I was roasting them last week for just refusing to stick with the same lineup for the duration of a match. But this time, the fact that they had lots of options was the reason they won this match. Like Lagumja was not all that good. Stern came in off the bench and was outstanding. Like if you have legitimate options at every position, then when you need them, it can help significantly. But when you don't know who your starters are, it totally goes the other way. So Bernardi's off my list for this week, even though Aaron Russell didn't even play for a single point. But at least they won the match, so good for Piacenza.
I mean, hey, let's be honest. Cowboys fans have known that Mike McCarthy is astute for a long time. We all know that Bernardi's astute as well at Piacenza. Just because he has one good win doesn't mean it doesn't make a difference.
Oh, I agree. I'm not absolving him of any of his glaring weaknesses. Just like I know a thing or two about losing games due to Mike McCarthy's incompetence. Trust me on that one. So let's move on to talk about Modena, because just like you're saying, that's 2 bad losses in a row for them. Now, to be fair, 13 wins in a row coming in, and that is quite the run after we talked about them weeks and weeks ago on the show for having a horrible start despite their unbelievable roster and getting called out by ownership. And Gianni, with a couple big wins in a row, got his team back to playing the way they should be. Then they lose an extremely confusing CEV Cup match last week, like we talked about on last week's show, and they lose this one to Piacenza. They've put themselves in a very weird spot, and the only thing that those 2 matches have in common is that they're more significant than just your standard regular season match. They CEV Cup match that is not like do or die, but you lose that in 4, and now the best you can do is force a golden set and win it to advance. And like it was like an 8th finals match. Like that makes no sense. And then a Coppa Italia match that is win or go home. So maybe this team has a little bit of a stage fright issue, which is very weird considering their roster.
I think that I don't know if it's stage fright, but I almost think it's just like they're lackadaisical at points.
Well, that's when they play bad. They really do look lackadaisical. Yeah.
You know, they it's just one of those things, and I think I've definitely been on teams like this before, and I'm sure you have too, where there's just so much talent on your team, and you're losing to a team that you shouldn't be losing to, and you don't go back to basics at the point. You don't like, hey, let's hunker down in passing. Let's really focus on the little things. It's always like, why are we losing to this team? Like, this is bullshit. We shouldn't be losing to this team. Come on, guys. Like, it's tools. The French league sucks. It's Piacenza. They're nowhere near as good as us. Like, we have Engapeth. We have Bruno. We have Leal. Like, the list goes on and on. Daddy Stankovic is there to lead the way. And no one, like, I think that once again, you're kind of getting in a situation where no one is willing to kind of step up and be the leader of that team. Now, typically it would be Bruno.
It has
I haven't really seen it, but like I haven't really seen that from him this year, and I wonder why. Like, is he just like getting soft in his old age? Is he just having too much fun drinking wine with Irvin and Swan at night? Like, what's going on here?
I don't have the answer. That's a good point. It's a lot of people who've played volleyball have been on really good teams that just have these head scratchers against teams that are way less talented than them. And Piacenza is actually really talented, but they've got their own fair share of problems. Yeah, this is a Modena team that it is starting to get too late in the season for them to learn how to win consistently, or to keep whatever level of focus it requires on their side to execute up to the level of their own talent. It's weird that a team with players like that, none of them are that young either. So it's not like there's a youthful, like inexperience, like immaturity factor. This sort of thing should not be happening to a team of this level of talent. And again, they went on an unbelievable run the last like month where they were untouched for a month or even. But you get into matches that matter just a little bit more than your everyday Superliga match against the middle of the road team, and you should be able to execute and win those matches easily, and they just haven't done that. I'm kind of confused by it.
There's just way too many errors. Like,
a lot of errors.
24 service errors for Modena. You're giving away an entire set just away for service errors. 24-4 is not a good service error.
That's terrible.
Error to ace ratio.
1-6.
You've got seven serve receive errors, 9 attack errors, and 9 times you're getting blocked. Like, that's it right there. That's the game right there. And on the other side of the net, and on the other side of the net, Piacenza had a fantastic game, right? So it's just this kind of spiral that they get into where they're just not focusing on the little things. They're just not focusing on the details of the game. Engapeth, 8 service errors.
That's so bad.
It's just bad numbers right there. Like, put a couple in.
Bad.
Right? He's missed, like, he had 15 serves in total. He missed more than he put in. Right? He missed more serves than he put in. And like we're not even talking about just serve to error, like ace to error ratio. That's just he's missing more than 50% of the serves, right?
Yeah, that's horrible.
So it's ugly. But my question is, we saw Gianni be on the hot seat earlier in the year, and we saw Cersei come Pedrini, sorry, I'm going through all of the different Italian names right now. Pedrini come out and be like, hey, you know what, this is Gianni's team, and if he doesn't pick it up, does this, like, say the unfathomable happens tomorrow and they lose to Toulouse again and they're out of the CEV Cup, does that cause for alarm from Modena? Are we going to see Gianni get the yank?
No, he survived what he survived last time with worse losses than this and a worse start to the season than this, and then he rattled off 13 wins in a row. He is not on the hot seat. That is a violent overreaction to this point. If they lose to Tours again, then I think it might be reasonable to have that conversation on next week's show, but I refuse to be that like knee-jerk reaction idiot on a volleyball podcast to say that a guy needs to be fired after winning 13 matches in a row in the last 2 months. So I'm not going to say that yet, but it is a little bit weird that this Modena team can't take care of business against teams that they're better than.
I'm not going to say he needs to be fired. I'm just going to say that there's a good chance he is going to be, or that he may be fired, because like if I look at a team with as much veteran talent as this team has, like, we're not talking about young kids. Like, there's no Gabby Garcia Fernandez who's out there who's going to be like, oh, he's a little bit volatile. There's no 23-year-old Marlon Yant out there. We're talking about some of the most legendary names the sport has ever had to offer, all on one team, and they're all boys and they want to be on the same team. So to me, like, that comes down to, like, where is that going wrong, right? Why can't this team stay consistent? Why are they so up and down? And to me, that has to be looked at the coach.
I would predict that tomorrow Modena will absolutely stomp Tours 3-0 and beat them 15-9 in a golden set. And if that happens, then I want to come back 15-9 in a golden set. And then we're going to come back on next week's show. We're going to come back on next week's show, and we're going to see how that take holds up, because I believe that they will turn it around and they will put all of your skepticism to shame quite quickly, but we will see. Okay, what do we got? What do we got going on next? So you want to talk a little VLA before we roast?
Yeah, let's
we have our weekly roast of the Volleyball World organization.
It hurts. Yeah, we're gonna talk about VLA first because it hurts me. Because last week we're like, FIVB Volleyball World, we're gonna give you a chance, and then they come out with this garbage. But yeah, let's go to what was actually a pretty entertaining weekend of VLA volleyball.
It was very entertaining weekend of VLA volleyball. My voice is finally starting to make somewhat of a recovery after commentating 6 matches in 2 days. That's absolutely insane. The big winners here, the Chicago Icemen, the defending champions, were absolutely unbelievable. So that's the day one results you see right there. They swept Team Pineapple, no problem. They played a lot of backups, still beat Chicago's Swede. Then Team Pineapple beat Swede in a sweep. Then on Sunday, 3 rematches, Icemen undefeated there. The very interesting one is Swede out of Tier 2 coming in to Fort Wayne and sweeping Team Pineapple. That was a heck of a match, and kind of a historic performance. It exactly was the validation for the Tier 2, Tier 1 model that the league kind of wants to look for. It's kind of nice. We did the same thing last year. We had some Tier 2 teams play up, and none of the Tier 2 teams ever got embarrassed. Occasionally, they would take a game or two from the Tier 1s, but the Tier 1s would mostly maintain their superiority. It was exactly kind of what we wanted. Until now, Swede comes in and legitimately sweeps and is clearly the better team against Team Pineapple in that last match of the weekend. I thought that was very interesting, and a lot of credit to those guys. The Icemen roster was unbelievable. I really think they're the best team in the league for the 3rd year in a row. And we got some highlights. Let me pull some up because there were some very cool plays that came out of this tournament. Here's one.
I will have to say, I think Swede was doing so good because they had good jersey karma.
Oh my goodness! Will Kraft has just pulled an Irvin Ingapet on the VLA stage. I don't even have any words for that. I love
as
that
good
play
as his
so
play
much.
was. It's really like he's already facing the outside. Like he's facing the outside, has already jumped, and he's setting the ball when the outside hitter jumps with him in the middle. So that was just terrible blocking on the Swede side. Looks good in those jerseys. Didn't look good in that play.
Yes, that is a very bad blocking move. It was hilarious, but I mean, this level, I don't know if anybody's ever even tried that play since I've been doing VLA, and so it totally pulled the blocker and at least made it look cool on the highlight. Let's watch
Tier 1. There are only 2 teams in the Central. Good block touch there by Dabrowski. Oh my goodness!
I love it. I love it so much.
I would have liked maybe a bit of a fisting.
Stage.
Where's the bounce? Like he did a good job at just taking care of the ball. Let's just get the kill. But like, hey, this is the VLA. Like, let's bounce the ball into the next court. Let's make sure these little kids know. I do find that dynamic hilarious. How you've got the little girls, U13s warming up right beside the VLA guys. But hey, I tuned in for most of the matches on Saturday, and I thought it was great action, especially from Swede. Like if that's a Tier 2 team, man, like Tier 2 is going to be strong.
Yeah, Tier 2 is legit. This play was awesome, and yeah, the vibe in the arena was phenomenal. We got a lot of giveaways, like just giving out some free stuff to the girls that were playing there. Like there were like 30 courts at this event. We were just one of them, and so a bunch of free fans. That's always cool. Everyone trying to like take pictures and get autographs from the guys after the matches. So that's always great. We love that. Here's another one.
Great pass by Merck. Flicked all the way to the backside. Kraft! Klosak's got 2 in a row. This time an absolutely monstrous stuff block. Oh my goodness, Ethan Klosak, what an addition he's been since coming on late in the 2nd set. That was a monstrous play.
That is a 6 foot nothing kid. 6 foot nothing.
You gotta love the short left side blocker getting a big block. You know who that remind me of? Francesco Ricine this weekend.
Dude, I like that comparison.
That's exactly who that reminded me of. My favorite player watching this weekend for the VLA was Gebert.
Pineapple Kid, yeah.
Yeah, the left side for Pineapple, flying, making plays, exciting stuff to watch. I like it. I liked it a lot. I did think that it sucks to have the format of playing so many games in so few days, right? And you just have the 2 games back to back. So I definitely think that once you guys get to get more teams in a bigger event like that, it's going to be a top-notch event.
Well, yeah, that format is very, very difficult, but the format is clear, and teams like Team Pineapple, who only bring 8 guys to play 4 matches in 2 days, that's on them. They are aware of the schedule, and if they can't field the roster at like playing at home that can handle playing that much volleyball, then that's on them, and I don't feel bad for them. I've made this joke to a lot of the teams in the VLA who are complaining about their roster availability, because like the last couple of years we've had serious issues like with teams being able to field like good players certain events. I'm done feeling bad for any of them. The schedule is clear, the format is clear. They have absolutely no excuses. There are very forgiving but clear roster rules in place, so I don't want to hear it about the format. We're just trying to squeeze as much volleyball out of these weekends as we can. So I understand that it's a lot of volleyball, but everyone's playing the same thing, so they got to deal with it. I want to watch that clip one more time because it was so cool.
Yeah, let's do it. It's great.
Pass by Merck, flicked all the way to the backside. Kraft. Klosak's got 2 in a row. This time an absolutely monstrous stuff block.
Oh yeah!
Oh my goodness, Ethan Klosak.
Yeah,
what
this has been
he's been since coming on.
This has been a really good past 5 minutes here for the people on just audio.
Kaboom! Yeah, if you're watching on just audio, then you need to come watch the video because those 2 plays are sick. Very good volleyball from the VLA all weekend. It was really fun to be there. Good to get back in the gym. So we're off this weekend, then a huge 10-team tournament in SoCal the following weekend. So we'll talk about that in next week's show. All right, Everett, it is time.
Okay. Well, if you are a member, if you watch the show, you're probably a member of the Discord and you've been ripping on it with us for the past few days. But if you're a member of the Volleyball World, you'll know that Volleyball World, the aptly named organization, has come out with the top 12 best players per gender of 2021. Now, I'm trying to find words here, Rob, because we said earlier that, you know what, Volleyball World is under, it's actually technically Volleyball World is a brand new institution, right? We've heard that it's only been around since March. It hasn't even been around for a year, but they were looking to do better in the media department. And how do we sell volleyball better? So let's do a top 12 players, right? There's 6 players on the court, so let's do a top 12. But when you're doing this... When you're doing this, it's almost like an all-star team, like first team, second team all-stars, right? Preferably, I'd kind of probably want 14 there, so you can have, you've got the 2 liberos as well. But I digress, because it's not like they followed any type of format here. It's not like they had any type of criteria for how to determine who was the top 12. It seemed like they had completely different picking criteria for the women to the men, and it just blows my mind that we can have worldwide superstars like Wilfredo Leon get left off, nowhere to be seen.
I'm going to read
on the world top 12.
I'm going to read down the lists. So from 12 to 1. Here's the men's. 12, Bruno from Brazil. 11, Yuki Ishikawa, Japan. 10, Bartholomew Chinese, France. 9, Lucarelli, Brazil. 8, Ivan Yakovlev, Russia. 7, Alessandro Micheletto, Italy. 6, Maxim Mikhailov, Russia. 5, Zhenya Grebennikov, France. 4, Jean Patry, France. 3, Irvin Inkapet, France. You sense a pattern here. 2, Luciano De Cecco, Argentina. 1, Antoine Brazard, France. And for the women, 12, Isabel Hack, Sweden. 11, Ada Erdem, Turkey. 10, Makris, Brazil. 9, Jordan Poulter, USA. 8, Arina Fedorov-Seva, Russia. 7, Gabi, Brazil. 6, Jordan Larson, USA. 5, Carol Gataz, Brazil. 4, Tiana Boskovic, Serbia. 3, Paula Egonu, Italy. 2, Justine Wong Arantes, USA. And 1, Kim from Korea. I don't even know where to start with this. I really don't. Let's just start with the number ones, because Antoine Brazard of France, let's just look at what he did this year. He won an Olympic gold medal. He was a starting setter for a French team that won a historic Olympic gold medal. And that was it. That was literally all that he did. He was not the MVP.
But he was on the bench for VNL.
He was on the bench for VNL.
And you're the setter for a team that has 1, 2, 3, 4 other guys on this list. right? This isn't like Aaron Rodgers out there just dealing with one wide receiver. He's got plenty, and he works within a French system that that works together in a collective. But that's the French system. You don't have one guy who's running the show. Sure, you're gonna have one per game, but you work together as a system.
There is literally no argument to be made by any metric ever, or by the eye test, or any combination of resumes or achievements in the year 2021. There is nothing, absolutely no reason ever that you can put Antoine Brazard as the number one player in the world. And I like Antoine Brazard. I think he's a very good setter. I absolutely love him.
Led Piacenza to a win this weekend. Fantastic.
Totally. Great pickup for Piacenza. Lost in the CV Cup finals with ZSP last year. Absolutely no logical or illogical way ever can you put him as the number one player in the world on any list for any reason. And in the same vein, the actual best player in the world, according to literally anybody who has ever watched a volleyball match, Wilfredo Leon, is not even on this list. What are we talking about here? The actual best player in the world, anybody who has watched a real match of volleyball, not an anime, or not including exclusively Japanese players, anybody who has actually watched real volleyball knows that Wilfredo Leon is the best player in the world, and he's not even on this list. It's not like he's not top 5. It's not like he's not top 10. He is the best player in the world, and he is excluded from a top 12 list in any category. That just makes me want to throw it in the garbage right there.
For me, it seems it's very obvious, and I think that this is a huge problem in volleyball. It's very obvious that the FIVB, Volleyball World, whatever it is, completely disregards what happens in the club scene.
Yep,
completely disregards what happens in continental events, right? And just completely disregards reality, right?
So
because you're gonna
throwing
to Checo at 2, throwing to Checo up at 2. I'm not mad about that, right?
No, he won a Scudetto with Lube, which I'm sure they don't even know what that is, but he won a Scudetto with Lube. Good performance. Yep. He led Argentina to their first Olympic medal since the 80s, a bronze in the Olympics. That is an incredible achievement.
Played Champions League.
Yep.
Right? But if you're gonna award Antoine Brazard for being the starting setter for France, right? Like he's not fucking Tom Brady out there. Like he's not leading this team to the glory, right? But if you're gonna award him for to lead France, where's Bruno Lima on this list?
Right.
Dude led the Olympics in scoring for Argentina. It doesn't matter what he did in the other stuff, right? Because we're just talking about the Olympics, right?
Well, apparently
we're talking about the Olympics. There's 3 setters on this list, which is questionable, right?
Yeah,
no Mir Abdelaziz.
What did Bruno win this
Robert Landy Simon. Like, what are we doing with this list?
All right, so the way I've been thinking about this list the whole time is strictly in the time window of 2021. What did these players accomplish? And I think that that this list doesn't make sense given that window of time, but I think that was at least the idea. So let's see what happened. What notable things happened? Not even just individuals, but teams in the year 2021. Okay, Zaksa, Kedgers, and Kozle won the Champions League. They were the first Polish team to win Champions League since the 70s. How many of their players are on this list? None. Zero players on this list. VNL. Brazil wins VNL. They beat Poland in the finals, and they have, 2 players on this list. But then Brazil goes on and fails to win an Olympic medal in kind of embarrassing fashion. That's apparently worth 2 players, where Zaksa gets 0. The Olympics happens. France wins the Olympics, and that alone gets 7 or 5 of their 7 starters onto this list. Then European Championships happens. Italy wins. An absolutely unbelievable, young Italian team wins the European Championships. France loses to the Czech Republic in the 8th finals, and 1 Italian player is on this list, Alessandro Micheletto. Then the beginning of the club season happens. Super Cups happen, big off-season transfers happen, meaningful matches in the beginning of the season, and not a single bit of that is reflected in this list in any way. And what the hell is Yuki Ishikawa doing on this list?
I'm glad you brought it up first, because I've just been sitting here being like,
what did he do this year? He didn't. He won. What was he? Milano CEV Challenge Cup. Great
CEV Challenge Cup
for an 8th place team in Italy. He got tied for 5th in the Olympics. I don't even know if Japan played in the Asian Championships, and I don't care. His Milano team is average. What on earth is he doing 11th in any world list? Also, why are there only 2 middles on this list? That's ridiculous. And why is one of those 2 middles Bartolomé Chinyeze? Because he is not a top 2 middle in the world, even though he won Olympic gold this year. Ivan Yakovlev belongs on this list, but Robert Landy Simone is not only the best middle in the world, he's a top 5 player, period.
100%.
Period.
Absolutely. Like he absolutely should be up there. I mean, to me, like, as I said, like, I feel like they have different criteria and different people making the men's list to the women's list. The men's list is lazy. The men's list is, let's look at who finished top 4 at the Olympics, right? We need to sprinkle Micheletto in there because he had a fantastic year. We need to get at least one Japanese player in there, and it's going to be Ishikawa because he was the top scorer, right? But that's what I'm going to do. It's a lazy list. This is a terrible list. Clearly, no volleyball person who actually watches volleyball created it. It's bad. On the women's side, right, it looks like they tried to go for legacy and for maybe like social interactions, right? Because Kim, who's at number 1, they like to talk about how, she was the top scorer for Korea at VNL. Finished 15th. 15th. Last place. 15th. Who the fuck cares? Who cares? And then that, like, push them to the top 4 finish at the Olympics. You know what? That's great. But then they go on to mention her club season, how she helped her Shanghai team finish 3rd in the Chinese league right at the end of the year.
Honestly, the fact that Kim played in China, the fact that Kim played in China and didn't win the league is a demerit on her resume for the year. That's embarrassing. Like, what are we talking about?
Didn't she have Jordan Larson on her team? And back when you could have 2 foreigners,
I believe she
wasn't
did.
that the matchup, right? But then they go on to talk about how she's the first volleyball player to have over 1 million subscribers on her YouTube channel. I didn't even know she had a YouTube channel. That was news to me. So obviously it's not that big or that good, because it's never, ever in my life come across my channels. I mean, I know it's in Korean, so maybe there's that language difference there. But man, what are we doing here? Now, Justine Wong Orantes, I love. I fell in love with her watching the VNL this year. Like, I wish every libero in the world was like her. But number two, and you put, once again, at least she's on the list, right? At least she's on the list. The undisputed number 1, 76 in a game in a row win streak. Paolo Ogonu, European champion. Paolo Ogonu is 3rd.
She carries a team to Champions League in the midst of the greatest win streak volleyball has ever seen. She's the best player in the world. She is about to go become the highest paid volleyball player on the planet of either gender. And you put her 3rd behind a libero who all she did was win in the Olympics, which is an unbelievable achievement. But she's a libero and she did absolutely nothing of significance in club.
She plays in Germany. She plays in the Bundesliga.
Get out of here. And then, like, Kim, who it seems like the only, like, really, she didn't do very much this year. She had a not a noteworthy club season. Her team was horrible at VNL, and they somehow got to the semifinals in the Olympics before getting smoked 2 matches in a row. Like, Kim's the best player on a very bad team.
Even last year, like, she finished 2nd for her V League team, right? Like, so she's not out here changing the game.
No, or carrying teams.
She retired. That's what she did. She retired from the national team, right? But, like, if that's the case, like, should Gore Perrin be on the men's list? Like, what are we doing here? Like, Hawk coming in at 12?
That's insulting.
Like, you've got 1 setter on this list?
You've got Jordan Larson, the Olympic MVP, at 6. with Carol Gattaz in front of her. I didn't even know who that was until the Olympics this year. I'm not kidding. You have the token young superstar. Irina Fedorov-Seva is the Alessandra Micheletto of the women's list. Like, oh, this player,
she doesn't even play for a national team. She doesn't have a national team to play for.
Yeah, she does. She played for Russia. She was really good.
Did she actually play for Russia? I thought they were still figuring out.
No, you're thinking of a different player. No, she was outstanding on the national team this year. She was phenomenal. It's like, but she's the Micheletto of this list. Like, she was 17. She was actually a legitimately good player and was a meaningful player on a team that was good but not great at the Olympics. It's exactly what Micheletto did, and so they put him right in the middle of the pack because that people would riot if they didn't make that pick. But the rest of it, like Macris for Brazil, their set are just not all that good. Like, not even close to a top 12 player in the world, not even a little bit. Only one Turkish player on this list. Turkey had a really good year, and Ada Erdem of all people is a very confusing pick. Like, that makes absolutely no sense.
Where's Karakurt?
Karakurt was clearly the best Turkish player this year, and if you're going to pick a middle, you might as well pick Zara Güneş, who's the better player. Isabel Haak, who's incredible, like completely carried probably the soon to be the best club team in the world, and Vakifbank 12th. Like, come on, she played Eurovolley and was the only half decent player, was the reason why Sweden made it out of pools. Like, the criteria for this list, you're right, are completely different from the men's, because the men's was just loaded with, it was like a strict like tunnel vision on the Olympics. This takes the actual results and the players who had meaningful impacts on the Olympics and throws it completely out the window. Like, Kim, like, what are we talking about? A libero at 2, the best player in the world who won 76 matches in a row, including the Champions League title at 3rd. She should be number 1, obviously. Like, Tiana Boskovic, who's unbelievable, 4. That's the only one on this list that I'm okay with. I think that is about where I would have put Boskovic for the year 2021. Jordan Larson needs to be significantly higher than 6. Carol Gattaz should not be on this list. Gabi should be the only Brazilian player on this list, and that is only because of the club season that she had. Throw in like a Chiako Abogu.
Right?
That would be a good
I think maybe Jordan Poulter should be higher, given that she led the American team to like, hey, if you put Antoine Brazard at number 1 in the men, you should put Poulter at number 1, because guess what? Poulter had a way better club season with Busto, leading them to a top 4 finish at Champions League. They finished outside of the top 4 at Scudetto, but like, man, it just comes down to the inconsistency of the FIVB, of Volleyball World. We stat everything terribly. How can we put a libero up there when we have no idea on the defensive impact they've had in the game? We don't stat digs. We don't stat how many times they've received free balls and how many times that's been conserved, transition to a point. We don't stat setters. We don't stat, how many assists they have, how many one-on-ones they have, right? We need better stats in volleyball. It's so frustrating too, because every single team down to 14Us are statting better than the FIV, right? A 14U kid who the coach gives a freaking clipboard at the end, or maybe the iPad now, and you're gonna stat passing, you're gonna stat serving, you're gonna stat attacking and blocking. They do better stats than the FIVB. We have data volleyball that stats everything. Have you ever been if you've ever been with an international team during an international event, they have one person who works around the clock, and that is their data volley person, because these teams stat every single minute detail. And then when we get to the FIB, it's like we're back to 3rd grade finger painting. What are we doing?
Doesn't make sense.
Why?
I mostly just my biggest question is, what is even the point of this list from the very beginning? Why did we even bother to make this? What does the top 12 best players of 2021 even mean, and why do I care? It just does not make any sense. I'm finally catching up on the YouTube chat, because there's been a lot of very good discussion on this. I think the next thing to do is for us to make our own top 12 and to do it for next week's show, and I think that's a great idea. No Annie Drews,
like an apart show for just that.
Annie Drews literally carried the U.S. after the injuries. I agree. She should be on the list. Bigger embarrassment, this list or Shreveport Bossier City hosting the VNL? I don't know. That's actually a toss-up, and that is really saying a lot. Where's Jan Hadrava? Please unsubscribe from the channel immediately.
Censor cut.
Yeah, get out. I think we need to make some lists of our own and just not even talk about them that much, but just present them. Or maybe we can put it. I think we should put it on Instagram. We'll put it on Instagram at Volleyball Source. We'll make a quick graphic about it and put up our top 12 lists and compare it to this absolute laughing stock of a list that Volleyball World has put out, and we can have discussion there. I think that's what we should do.
For me, it comes down to there's just no consistent criteria within the FIVB, within Volleyball World. Like every single time, it's coming from a different lens. And you know what? After listening to the interview with the new CEO of Volleyball World, I was excited. I really was. But hey, how many months in, like you're almost a year in and you're still putting out garbage like this, and you want to turn around the sport like this? Like it's a slap in the face to our best players.
And
it's a slap in the face.
And to the fans that actually know what the hell they're watching. Like the people that are in the Discord, the people that listen to this show, like the people who actually know what volleyball actually is and are able to draw legitimately meaningful conclusions from watching a match. And those are the people that you should be catering to because they are the foundation of your fan base. It's insulting to them because they clearly know that what you're putting out is an absolute joke and there's no point in putting it out in the first place. And I just don't understand it fundamentally. Why do we do this list? It would have been just significantly better to have never even started this. We would have saved Everett's blood vessels a lot of significant strain on this show, and I just don't get it.
My voice is like I feel like I was commentating with you because I just I'm so exasperated now. Like I've been in this sport in like the professional level now for a decade, for 10 years, and it's just like what we just keep on doing the same things over and over again, the same dumb mistakes. And like, it doesn't matter if it's at the provincial level or the state level or the national level or the international level.
Yeah, dude, I don't get it. So I want to know who, because it's not our new friend Finn Taylor, who I still want to interview on this show. I mean, I don't think he's so many levels above the person that is responsible for this list, and it's probably the same person in Volleyball World, like digital content and media, that are responsible for worshiping Yuki Ishikawa and Yuji Nishida all the time. Those people, there is a person or a set of people that need to be fired, and it is now my mission to find who those people are and to call for their jobs because of all these embarrassing pieces of content.
You know what? Here's I'm gonna put out this declaration.
All right,
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.
I have much respect for you and everything you've done prior to coming to our sport. Now, if there's one thing you need to know about our sport is that the organization for which you represent has done a pretty terrible job promoting it and telling the story of it over the past forever. Since the beginning of the sport, 1986, right? What is it? Back in Morgantown, Massachusetts? I believe that's the case. There's just never had done a good job.
Yeah,
so
terrible.
Your business, your company is located in Montreal. I am a Canadian citizen. I am legal to work in Canada. Bring me in as your volleyball expert. I know a thing or two about media. You know, up until last year, I had one of the most popular YouTube channels in all of volleyball media that was doing well over 1 million views a month. Not many other channels that were doing that. Thank you, Amazon, for taking it down. Still love you guys. But let someone who knows volleyball help. Because I have yet, in 10 years of working with the FIVB, I have yet to meet one person in the media scope who has a background in volleyball, who knows the sport to any degree. So someone needs that. If you look at tennis, you look at football, you look at any sport in the world, they have experts leading your media. You need an expert. We need experts to be out there. This isn't good enough anymore. You can't sit here and say, we're going to change the game. We're going to turn things around and put up bullshit like this. Like Rob said, it's a slap in the face to those who love this sport, those who pay attention to it.
And to the players who like see the list come out and they're just as confused as we are. I couldn't have said any of that better myself. The two of us combined know more about the sport of volleyball than the entire Volleyball World organization. And that is not an exaggeration. And that continues to show with every piece of crap that they put out on Instagram or the website or the YouTube channel or whatever. You need volleyball people in this game at the highest levels of organization. Look at all the good that Dan Manili did at the CEV. He was there for what, like 2 years, maybe 3 years, and he completely turned around the way that their digital content is presented. He like tripled their YouTube subscribers. And Dan, we absolutely love you, dude. You deserve all the credit in the world for this. The reason he was able to do that, one was making a tremendous leap in his personal life to move to Europe, but the other was because he is a volleyball person. He knows it. He gets it. He gets it to the level that we do. He loves the game. He understands what good volleyball looks like. He understands what the dynamics of leagues and what it's like to play on a team and everything that we've been desperately wanting these organizations to get. Dan got that, and he brought that to the CEV, and it showed. And I thank him for bringing me onto that organization where I can hopefully continue to make content that matters in his absence. Volleyball World needs people like Dan. Volleyball World needs people like Everett. Volleyball World needs people like me. And even though I have some kind of a platform with them with commentating the Superliga, they have completely failed to capitalize on the personalities of their commentators and use them for the betterment of volleyball media and giving those people platforms and promoting them and letting the fans know who commentators are so that their voices can be heard in the sport of volleyball. We're here on this show right now, both Everett and myself, asking you, inviting you to get us in the conversation, even hire us to take over and do immediately better jobs than what you have right now.
Well, at this point, I'll be a volunteer.
Dude, same.
I love Montreal. I'm fully bilingual. Je parle français bien. I can speak English. Let's go. Get me in the fold of things and start changing things, because it's so infuriating to watch. There's just so much disconnect. It's like, once again, 3 boomers in a trench coat. That's all the FIVB is. 3 boomers in the trench coat. Well, how do we follow what soccer does, and how do we get us on TV? It's done. It's over. Digital media is where we need to go.
Correct.
And these guys here and a few others, all located in our Discord, know what's up.
It's that simple. There are people out there with some level of platforms, like the two of us, like Dan, like there's so many people that actually get it and that want to be a part of this. Key Michael, another great example. They bring her into the bubble. Right. Bring her into the bubble to commentate VNL. She does a very good job. She has her own YouTube channel that has a painfully low number of subscribers for the quality of content that she puts out. And she gets it. She played professional volleyball. She played in the Olympics. Why are you not using people like that? Even about people like that. You have her. You have me. You had Dan at the CEV. Like those people are now on the radars of those organizations, and you're just not using them. That's the really confusing part. So here we are making a plea on this show. After this embarrassing list that you've just put out, Volleyball World, which again, you should be ashamed of, you have people here begging to get into the mix with you and help you with these problems that you don't even know exist because you're so blind to them because you don't understand what the game of volleyball is.
And they're probably patting themselves in the back for just executing this. like it's like a 5th grader doing a writing project. Like, good job, Timmy. God. You put it in. Like, goodness gracious. Because
it's literally it's the thanks for participating of digital media.
Literally, like, spam cookies in the chat, please. Because that's exactly what this is. 2 Jacks. Rob just locked himself into a full season of commentating Ravena games.
What's funny is that literally all the games I've been offered lately have been either extremely bad women's games or Ravena games. That's not a joke. I have one tomorrow that'll be the quickest embarrassing 3-0 of all time.
You don't have the English accent, mate.
I have 2 bad women's games this weekend. I just don't get it. Oh my goodness. I don't know what more there is to say about this. We have a couple other brief items of volleyball news to get to before the show ends, but I can't wait to clip that bit. We should put it on Instagram. We should put it everywhere in the world, because I hope that catches the attention of somebody that actually matters, who can see this and who will. I hope that they're not offended by us calling them out for their embarrassing content, but will actually accept our offers to volunteer and actually fix this stupid game that we love so much.
And that's exactly it. Like, I'm willing to be a part of the solution.
Exactly.
Right?
We want to help. Literally
right?
offering to help.
If you want to bring me in, hear what I have to say, and don't take anything. I mean, I think you're stupid for that. But
fine.
Hey, at least we tried.
Yeah.
Right? At least we put the foot in the door. But this can't continue. It just brings me back to working for Volleyball Canada and them being like, okay, well, we're going to go promote this event that we have to the old age homes because we have events during the day, and those are the only people who are around. Like, my goodness. That is a real story of something that happened. So yeah, that's volleyball in a nutshell for me.
My goodness. All right, let's wrap up this stupid show. Oh man, let's wrap it up around here. I have an unbelievably busy week of volleyball. Let's see, I have the European Volleyball Show tomorrow. I'm commentating tomorrow. I have Around the VLA tomorrow, and then I'm commentating twice this weekend. So I've got enough volleyball on my plate to be annoyed with Volleyball World for the rest of my life. But here we are anyway. Elsewhere, going on in actual volleyball, Vakif Bank beat Ikshasibasi 3-0. I thought that was notable because those two teams are good, and Vakif Bank apparently is just better than them.
Very significantly
better.
It wasn't just it was a 3-0, like almost an hour in shower for Vakif Bank over Boskovic and Ikshasibasi.
The good old hour in a shower. A couple Americans doing good things in Poland. TJ DeFalco, Micah Ma'a, Dustin Watton have been playing very, very well in the Plusliga recently. Wanted to shout out those guys, and then I will throw it to Everett for a couple Canadian pieces of news before we get out of here.
Well, we'll start with the good one. Ryan Slater picking up his 4th MVP of the season for Set this past weekend in a 3-2 win over Tourcoing, 20 points for Slater. They move into first place or keep first place. I mean, they do have 2 games more played than Tools, and thus more wins. So Tools is technically the first place, but they're up there. They're battling. On the other side, not so great news, unfortunately. Blair Ban is going into surgery on his hip, playing for Friedrichshafen, and just hasn't been going well, so decided to get a hip repair. It's looking like he's aiming to be back playing for Friedrichshafen by the end of the season, so hopefully we're going to be able to see him in a Maple Volleys jersey come summertime. But yeah, just a little update. Blair, obviously we wish you the best, wish you quick recovery, and man, just anything that could go wrong for Friedrichshafen is going wrong.
It certainly is. And I'm happy to hear that there's a chance he can come back this club season, because when I hear hip surgery, I think Aaron Russell. And what happened to him last year with his surgery was a problem. He was out for a very long time, and getting back to top level form, you could argue, still hasn't happened because of his club situation. So if it's a better prognosis than that, that is good news. I love Blair Ban, root for all. I'm a Canada fan. I love Team Canada. I love all their players overseas. I root for Team Canada except when they're playing the United States. However, the silver linings of this is my boy Avery Aylesworth, the backup libero for Friedrichshafen, gets some shine. I think he's really good, and this might be a big thing for his career to kind of kickstart it to play on that stage. So I'm excited for him. Wishing Blair the best, hoping he can play for Canada this summer.
Yep, me too. That's all right. I think that wraps everything up. Is there anything else we want to chat about? Anything else I want to yell and about and lose my voice about? Because this is just looking at this list just makes me mad. I've got terrible. Whiskey downstairs, thank God.
Yeah, I might make myself a drink after this. Just matches coming up this week. We've got Piacenza versus Lube Civitanova tomorrow. That match is really good. We've got Perugia versus Padova in the last Coppa Italia quarterfinal. That's also tomorrow. And then you've got tours at Modena with Golden Set potential. That is also tomorrow. So a lot of very good matches on Wednesday. If you're listening to this, that's Wednesday, January 19th, where all these good matches are happening. So we'll have a lot of fuel to talk about on next week's show. Also this weekend, on the 22nd and the 23rd, it looks like a half-decently populated Superlega schedule, including Lube versus Monza and Perugia versus Piacenza. So the fact that more matches are happening is promising. I think a lot of these teams have had their respective COVID outbreaks and have started to get over them, so we can come back to a slightly normal schedule. That would be great. I'm optimistic about that. So there is a lot of volleyball going on. Milano versus Modena on Saturday. That could be interesting given the week that those two teams had this past week. Toronto beat Verona this past week 3-0, and the standings now have Toronto over Cisterna after having played the same number of matches. So that's very interesting. So there actually is cool volleyball going on. There are slightly more matches starting to be played, as again, I think teams, as I think they kind of should have done at the beginning, just get COVID in your team, get it out of your system, get it over with, and now like get back to our regularly scheduled programming as fast as possible. So there is a lot of volleyball going on this week. Great matches tomorrow, great matches this weekend. Get in the Discord. The link is in the description of this YouTube video if you're not already, where we'll be talking about all of them. And I think that might be about it, Mr. Everett.
Yeah, I think it is. Probably might be doing a voice chat tomorrow for the Modena Tools game, just because it's probably going to go to, it's most likely going to go to a golden set and should be fun. And yeah, I think that's about it. Guys, have a great week.
I will be commentating Conegliano versus Bergamo, which should be an hour in a shower. So I hope to be able to to be done with that and hop on the Modena voice chat, because the matches are at the same time. All these matches are at the same time. I think like the Padova Perugia match, Piacenza, whatever. Like there are like 4 matches all happening at the same time, and I hate how they do that. Man, come on. Well, it's a Wednesday evening. What are you gonna do? All right. I thought I was gonna try to be optimistic at the end of the show, and I'm starting to get annoyed again. So that means it's time to wrap it up. Well, we'll see you next week.
Time to wrap it up.
See you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for watching.
Good one, guys. Peace.